Hello and welcome to another video. This is Dr. Nick Danger, your friendly neighborhood optician, not a real doctor. Let me tell you about this. This isn't something I recommend doing, what I'm about to show you, but it's a trick of the trade that you can do when you don't have the right things around. So the situation here is that our lens here is too loose, so it's very easy to, look at that, pop out. And we don't want that, and the screw is super tight already. So essentially what's going on is that this lens is a tad bit small. The right thing to do, and I'll show you that it's been done before to this, I just don't have the things around, or I'm going to pretend to not have it for the sake of this video. There's some lens liner in here, which means whoever had this same problem with this pair of glasses, the other optician that tried to fix it did basically the right thing and put some lens liner in there, which is basically adds an extra layer. It comes in two forms. I think this is the gluish type that you have in like a tube that you just put in there and you let it sit, and then you put the lens back in. It adds an extra layer, and the lens is tighter in there as a result. But let's pretend that we don't have lens liner around. What can you do to get this person out of the door with a pair of glasses that function until they can get it properly repaired? What I was doing there was what I've showed you before about the lens distortion. This is how you can find which side of a progressive lens you have. Just look at where there's more distortion. 9 out of 10 times that's your reading area. So let's set it down, reading down, that way you know what's up. Now, you basically have to bend the frame, and especially if it's slipping out of the top and the bottom, just give it a little squeeze in that direction. Or if you're not doing it like that, hold it like this and just give the top a little bit of, you're gonna attempt to, on a very small scale, make this little curve a little bit more like, in exaggerated terms, more like like this. So bring this in a little bit to make it a little bit flatter on top, and you can kind of see the difference already, and that'll make it tighter there. The reason I said this is not recommended is that all this is doing is pushing the loose areas to the sides, and eventually it is going to pop out again, but it's way harder to pop it out of the sides than it is to pop it out the front. I'm not sure exactly why. It might have to do with the surface area that's touching the lens. It's a little bit less here than it is on the top. So that's the one thing you can do. Another thing to keep in mind is oftentimes for plus lens, like is visibly the case here, you often find, and this happens actually with minus lenses too, where your lens has a curvature, so your lens is curved, whereas the frame front is too flat for it. So what ends up happening is that the lens sticks out from the front. And again, there is a proper tool for that. It's like a set of pliers, like this, but instead of this thin mouth, it actually has a wider mouth that has a curve on it, and it basically presses in on that curve, which is where you put this part of the frame to give it more of a curve. Let's say you don't have that on hand either. Well, you have your hands on hand, so you can just grab the frame like so, give it a nice grip. And the more things you do with your hands, especially if you're a beginner optician, some of these things might seem a little difficult, but the more you do with your hands, the more you gain muscle memory and you know how to grip things and how to hold things and how to bend things. So just takes some practice, but you can do the same thing the tool does with your fingers. Now look at that. We have a more curved frame front. I have flattened out the top and the bottom. As I said, is not recommended, but if you must, this is what will get you through. There is my lens. It's a progressive lens. It's oval. It could go either way. I don't want to mess this up. So here we go. The distortion is here. That's my reading. It goes to the bottom. And typically, because this is going to be a tighter fit, I like to unscrew the screw in there now, just to give myself a little bit of room to insert this lens. Bottom goes to the bottom, and you stretch it over the lens Bam, and we're in, and it's already tighter even though I loosened up the screw a little bit. So we'll go ahead and screw that back in. Use this for anchor. And look at that, we're in there. The lens is nice and tight. You know, this may not even need a liner. That shows you how good this trick works. And if you look closely, you might see a little bit of a gap on these sides, but for right now, this is good to go. We're all set on this. Thank you for watching.